As a cinematographer, I never really enjoyed flying drones until I started flying FPV. And in this video, I'm going to share my experience on how I overcame the fear factor of flying FPV drones. Stay tuned. What is happening, everybody? It is your boy Sean. Allow me, I know whatever you are, you're having a wonderful day. So I've been flying DJI drones since 2015, and the reason I say I hate it is because it always made me nervous flying over water, line of sight, close to buildings. I felt like I was never in control, and I was always nervous, out of my comfort zone. I just didn't like the feeling of it. The only reason I did it was that you would end up with amazing, rewarding shots for your projects, and we all know it is an essential tool for every cinematographer to have in their arsenal. I think it was towards the end of 2019 where I was introduced to the magnificent world of cinematic FPV, and I gotta tell you, I was blown away. It was like love at first sight, and it was at that moment when I realized I'm gonna dedicate a chunk of my time to become a cinematic FPV pilot. Now, I did not just want to go out and buy me a new quad. Since we know we crash in this hobby a lot, I figured the best way to go about this was to learn how to build one. After I built my first drone, that was first when I encountered with fear, because it was the first time I was flying something looking through VR goggles. And at first it was terrifying. So I would take off, the drone was not flying well. That was really when the frustration started, because I was crashing constantly, not necessarily crashing into things. My quad had problems just falling out of the sky on hard roll. The fear of, not being good at this sometimes takes over me, and every time I flew, I was scared as hell that I would see that image again and my drone would fall out of the sky. I would bring it home, create threads on forums, type my name, Sean Alami, FPV in Google, and you see the hundreds of threads that I've created through the process of me building my drones and flying them. I literally ran into every single problem anybody can run into when you're learning FPV. And I even ran into problems that people had never had faced before. It was just days of going out there, having my drone crash, coming home, finding a solution to fix it. And we all know it's not a cheap hobby. I was completely put out of my comfort zone when I was flying. I was scared as hell, but I tell you, there was not a single moment when I thought that I'm going to quit. So from the time I built my first quad, cut to a year later, after all these mini crashes, fixing all these problems, losing the first drone, building another one. It literally took me a year to build a reliable drone where I could take off and be able to learn and practice the maneuvers and land and come home without having any problems. After my quad was in a good state, I just started flying in open fields. And after numerous times of flying, the fear of having the goggles on, keeping my hands on the controller, standing on the ground, slowly started to fade away. And I was just flying comfortably, no obstacles, open fields. Then I started to really enjoy FPV. So after flying comfortably in open fields, I thought I was ready to take the next challenge, which was diving from a mountain. So I went to Switzerland and I picked the biggest mountain that I could. And how did that go? I terribly failed. So my number one tip for those who are learning FPV, take it one step at a time. I'll tell you quickly about the Switzerland experience. I picked the biggest mountain, I started flying towards it, and the more I flew towards it, I realized that this thing is way further than I thought it is to me. And when I turned around, I wanted to come home, I couldn't find myself, so I ended up draining a battery up there and crashing. It was so terrifying that it made me not want to attempt any dives for about a couple of months. So what I decided to do, I realized, why don't I pick a task that's more doable and is not as extreme? So I decided to dive down from a building. So I found a building in my city which was about 200 meters high, and I figured this would be a good start for me. So I go there, set my drone up, and as I was elevating towards the top of the building, I wish I could put into words how scared I was. My heart rate was through the roof, my legs were shaking, so deep out of my comfort zone. When I got to the top of the building, and when I did my first dive, that was when I realized it is all worth it. Okay, let's get it. So battery pack by battery pack, I got more comfortable and the whole process started to become more enjoyable to me. And now every time I want to dive a building, I'm not gonna lie, I do get nervous, but I definitely don't have all the fear and that experience that I had going to the top of the building for the first time. But I still hadn't dived down from any mountain, and that was really killing me from inside. So I picked a mountain and I set a goal that is more doable and it is not as extreme as the Switzerland mountain. Again, this was uncharted territory for me. I didn't know how my quad is going to act if I was going to fly down all the way at the bottom of the mountain and me standing at the top. How is my image transmission going to be? Am I going to lose my quad? All these thoughts would constantly cross in my mind. So with my first pack, I really didn't have the courage to do the dive, so I was just kind of flying around, and I had very similar feelings when I was first doing the building dive. My heart rate was to the roof, my legs were shaking, I felt like I was gonna fall from the mountains, but this time, the feeling was not unknown to me. That was right then and there when I realized the fear we have when we are experiencing something for the first time and we are in uncharted territory. It is literally nothing but a feeling. It is simply just a thought. And this thought makes you nervous, you're not in control of your senses, you're constantly shaking, and you're not performing at your best. So after facing this fear, throughout this whole time of learning FPV, you know, when you get to spend some time with something, you get to know it better. Eventually, you learn how to treat it better. So I took a deep breath and I told myself that this is nothing but a negative thought. And believe me when I tell you this, all that fear went away and I was able to confidently fly my quad around the mountain and dive down from it. And it was just such a rewarding experience that I really can't put into words. So looking back in the whole journey of me learning FPV, I've reached a lot of milestones, and the best way to do it is really to take it one step at a time. And every time you reach one milestone, you become more confident, you become a better pilot, and you become less nervous. I'm sure I'm going to go to more uncomfortable places where I'm about to fly my drone. I'm going to be nervous and a little bit scared, but at least now I got to know what it is and I know how to deal with it. Well, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment, tell me your experience facing fear flying FPV, and let's become friends. Until we see each other next time, stay safe.